Hey crafters, welcome back to my channel Because I'm Crafty. My name's Katelyn, and today I'm going to show you guys how I recovered this couch that I bought secondhand from someone on Facebook Marketplace. Now it is an older couch that is originally from IKEA. All the pieces come apart, and this is what it looks like with the orange original covers off of it. And this is the final product. So you guys can get a little sneak peek of what I'm about to show you. As you guys may or may not know, I moved into an apartment and I'm living on my own, and I've been finding ways to decorate my apartment in a thrifty way while also using my sewing skills. So this is one of the items that I purchased secondhand and went to Fabricland and picked out some really nice fabrics to cover it with. To go along with this couch, I'm actually going to be showing you guys my Decor pillows as well, some throw pillows that have a printed fabric on them. So I know it looks a little plain now, but I promise you with the pillows it has a lot of flair to it. So to cover all of these cushions, I first went ahead and drew out every piece and measured every piece and numbered them and labeled them. This makes things a lot easier when I go to cut out all my fabric. Another thing I do when drawing it out is label which side the zipper goes on and for which piece, and I also number how many pieces of each one to cut out. And then I've added a note in to add my seam allowance. It's a good thing to write in your measurements with your seam allowance added as well, but just for this I drew in the exact measurements, the finished measurements. So after I had all my measurements written down and drawn out, I made sure that I was going to be able to purchase the right amount of fabric. Since I had everything measured out, I was able to calculate my yardage. Went and purchased my fabric from Fabricland, and then I proceeded to rip apart all of the original cushions. Now, I didn't rip apart every single piece because some of them are of course doubled, so I just took apart the ones I needed and put them all in bags and numbered them 1 to 6 so that I knew which cushion was which when I went ahead to put everything together and sew them. So here you can see I'm taking the biggest piece first and cutting it out, using my ruler to get some nice straight edges, and going around that piece with my added seam allowance so that I can sew this piece to the others and that it fits well. So I find when cutting out cushions it's really helpful to have a really large working space. I know having a large table is really difficult space-wise for a lot of people, and trust me, I've made a lot of cushion covers in a really small area, so I'm really thankful for this space, being able to cut this one out. And I've made so many cushion covers in the past that this one seemed quite a breeze since everything is able to come apart from each other. I didn't have to do any shaping or anything like that. That just adds a little bit more complication, but not too much depending on the shape of your couch. So this part you're seeing here, I am referring to my book, going back and forth, measuring twice before I cut, and I'm cutting out these sides of the cushion, which will cover the thickness of the foam. And again, using my rotary and my ruler makes things go really fast. Once I have all my pieces cut out, I'm taking it over to the serger and serging around all my pieces individually. I find this a lot easier since some upholstery weight fabrics can get really thick if you start serging 2 of them together. And this poor serger, I swear, is on its last legs, and so I didn't want to take any chances. So that's why I serged them separately. You can also see here I'm doing a bit of a trick with my corners. I'm not pulling it all the way out, I'm giving it a little bit of slack, turning the corner, and keep going. It's just a quick little trick that you can do so you don't have to keep snipping and reinserting the fabric into your machine. So here's all my pieces serged and in bags ready to be sewn. So for this next portion of my cushion making video, I'm going to show you guys how I insert my zippers. Now I know this color is a little bit off, but the zipper is going to be hidden just like they sewed in the original. So when making cushions, I like to do a center lap zipper. So it's just like that, and then when that's zipped up, it's covered and the other side is the same. So let me just show you here. So this is where the side matches up. You've got your zipper down the center slot, and those folds cover your zipper. Now this one doesn't cover it as well, but I'm going to make sure that mine's definitely covered. I've made many cushions like this before in the past, so I'm not too worried about my zipper color. So this is my fabric, this is the outside, this is the inside, and I've serged around all my edges. Now when I did this little drawing with all of my pieces and my measurements and everything, I made sure to add enough seam allowance to allow for the folds of the zipper along with the other side that's going to be sewn to another portion of the cushion. So this cushion has 8-inch wide foam inside, and so for these zipper pieces I need that finished side, both pieces zipped together, to be 8 inches. And so for this piece I have cut it 5 1/4 inches wide, so that allows me 1 1/4 inches to put in my zipper and have the top stitched lap accounted for. So I have both of my pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and cut my zipper the exact same length as this. I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the end, so I can attach it to the other side, and then 1/2 inch for my other edge, if that makes sense. It'll make a little bit more sense as we go, but basically the zipper is going to be sewn on this side with my lap, and it'll be all covered. The other side, which is right here, will be sewn on this side. This will be sewn to either the top or bottom of the cushion, same with this side, and this will be sewn to another edge that will cover both sides, because this will be here, and that will go around the cushion. So this is on one of the sides of the cushion. So I'm going to go ahead and prep my zipper. I did also purchase zipper heads, just metal nickel ones. I ordered these from Paccana. They're from Calgary, and they shipped really fast to me. So it's zipper by the meter with the heads. I did also buy some stoppers and some toppers. I don't think I'm going to use them for this project, simply because everything's sewn in. For this cushion specifically, there's a couple that are slightly different, but this is kind of the main way that I sew in zippers for cushions like this. So anyways, I have these just in case, but I'm probably not going to use them for this one. So I've zoomed you guys in quite a bit so you can see what I'm doing with my cut zipper piece. So for my cushion, it is 8-inch wide foam. So for my 2 zipper pieces together, it needs to be 8 inches, but for each side it needs to be 4, obviously. So for this piece, I've cut it at 5 1/4 inch wide. That gives me half an inch seam allowance over here to sew to a different portion of the cushion. It may be the top or the bottom. And this side is my allowance for my zipper and my lap. Now, depending on what you're comfortable with, you may choose a bigger seam allowance, but totally up to you. For cushion making, I really do like to have a 1/2 inch to sew just normal seams. 5/8 may be a little bit better, but I think for my purposes, I'm happy with 1/2 inch. And so that leaves me with 3/4 inch to do my zipper lap. Again, like I said, you can do a little bit more, but totally up to you. So I've got my zipper piece cut here, and I've gone along and marked my 1/2 inch here. This is my 4 inches, and this is what's left. So depending on your supplies, your zipper tape width, all those types of things, it may change your measurements, but this is just what works for me. So I'm going to take my zipper and line up the edge with the edge of my fabric, and I'm going to put my pins in going this way along the side of my fabric. And this just gives me more space to go along with my foot. So I'm going to head over to my machine, and of course I'm going to pin the rest of this first, but I'm going to stitch fairly close to my zipper teeth. So leave a little bit of space in there, but you don't need very much, just enough to make sure that the head of the zipper can slide easily. So once that's sewn in, I'm going to go ahead and pin my lap in place. Now I will also have to attach my head and everything to my zipper, which I will show you, but just for purposes now, so hopefully this is a little bit easier to understand. That's my seam allowance there, so I'm just going to fold my fabric there, and once that's folded back, where that pin is, it will cover half of the zipper tape. Okay, now when I sew the other side to this side of the zipper, right here, it will also cover the other half of the zipper teeth. And so each half will come together to meet in the middle, and you won't be able to see the zipper teeth. And then I will top stitch down probably about a 1/2 inch from the fold over this way, and top stitch all along the top on this side, and I'll do the same on the other side to hold down that lap. And you want to make sure that when you stitch down that lap, that it catches the edge of your zipper tape on the other side. Now it may be closer or further away from the other stitch that you did, but you want to try and catch the outer edge so it holds down the entire lap. If it's in a bit, it's okay, but you're going to have a bit of a flappy piece on the back, so you do want to try and take a good measurement from the edge of that fold to where it feels like the edge of your zipper tape is. You also want to make sure you're in far enough so that you're not going on it and then you're going off of it and then you're going on it again as you go down your fabric, because depending on the thickness it may move a bit in your machine. So those are just some things to keep in mind. So I'm going to go ahead, pin this all down my piece, sew it, and then I will come back and show you how I pinned the lap down. I will top stitch that and show you how I put the zipper head on the zipper. So I have my zipper attached with that one stitch line there close to the zipper teeth, so you can see there's just a little bit left there spacing wise. Now I've gone ahead and marked where my fold line is going to be for my lap, so that's my width that I need to cover the cushion plus my seam allowance for this edge. Now if you have an iron, I would go ahead and pre-iron that fold in place. My iron isn't working right now, and I just don't want to chance it on this really light colored fabric because it's not working very well. So I've gone ahead and put pins in place, and that's going to mark my fold for my lap. And that will cover half of the zipper teeth. So once I have that fold kind of in place, I'm going to leave that pin there just as a marker. I'm going to come to the other side and put a pin like so. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the next one, hold that in place. So again, it's covering half of the zipper teeth. Come to the other side, and I'm going to put a pin in here. So I'm going to come to the middle and just eyeball it to cover half of the zipper teeth. Again, turn it over, and I'm going to put a pin in that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that along that whole side of the zipper. And I'm going to take my measuring tape and see what a good measurement is. Usually a 1/2 inch is pretty good. So I'm just going to put it to the edge of my fold, and I'm just going to go like this at 1/2 inch and go straight up and down as best I can and see where that puts me. And that puts me pretty close to the edge of my zipper. Hopefully you can see that there. And I think that's actually a really good spot. So when I go to sew that top stitch line for my lap, I usually find it easier if the zipper is open, so that I have that edge I can use on my machine with the measurements on my needle plate. So I'm going to attach my zipper head. So you just want to open up. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good angle here at the camera. Right there's good. I'm gonna just open up the zipper teeth. Like just 1 or 2 teeth, just loosen them open, and I'm gonna take my head and I'm gonna slide it over both those, which can be a little bit tricky at the start. Just get them on like so. You can usually press them together again if you need to, but just slide it on. Okay, then you want to release them a little bit more. Just kind of pull to open them up. You might have to do it a couple times to get it going. Doesn't want to seem to open on me, so I'm going to try that again. Just opening that top set of teeth. Pushing it on there. It is a little bit fiddly to get going, but the trick is to get the teeth open a little bit so that this channel in the center of your head can go in between the two. There we go. I got it on the other side. So sometimes it's very one-way directional with your zippers, so you just need to be careful with which way it goes. So I got it on that side. So now that you have your zipper head on and working on your zipper, it is smart to close this end so you can't accidentally pull your zipper head off, just as a good little tip there. But as you can see here, I have my fold pinned from before, so you can see it will be a lot easier to sew this top stitching because you can actually see the edge, whereas with the zipper closed, it's a little bit harder to gauge on your machine where that is. Now you can mark it, but I would just rather not draw on the right side of my fabric, and that way I can just use that against the markings on my needle plate and sew the 1/2 inch seam allowance top stitching that I want. Now when you do get down to the end here, you will have to kind of stop at a certain point, lift up your foot, move the head over, and then continue going. So you may need a couple markers just to keep yourself straight for the rest of the way. But I'm going to keep going and pin my fold all the way down, do my top stitching, come back and show you what that looks like. Then I'll repeat it on the other side, and then you can see how the two sides come together. Okay guys, so sorry you can hear my industrial kind of winding down, its motor, but this is what my center slot zipper looks like so. It's all top stitched and you can't see the zipper at all. And this is what it looks like on the underside. Now I did use an industrial weight thread to do my top stitching, and I just used a regular thread for that first stitch line, which is why you can't really see it as much. But it'll definitely be nice and strong. And you just want to be careful when you're working with these not to just like rip your head right off, so keep it back a little. At the very end, I did stitch over that end so that I didn't pull it off the other side, just to kind of hold that in place. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my other side pieces that will attach from here to my other side, and that will be this wide piece here. So I'm going to put right sides together here. And when I have this part, of course you want to leave it a little bit open so that you can undo your zipper and it won't get caught when you're sewing. So you do just want to try and keep these open ends as close together as you can when you pin it. So you're going to go ahead, pin and sew with your seam allowance, which I've given myself 1/2 inch. And I will do the same on the other side and do it over here. Then I will have a loop that I then can sew my top piece to, which has some rounded corners, and I'll just kind of shape those straight pieces around. And my bottom piece I've chosen just to use some muslin so I could save on save this fabric for the pieces that are actually seen, and I already had this in my stash. I'll do the same on the other side and then it will be complete. So I'll just to show you some clips here and there and get started. Okay guys, so I've taken my middle piece of the cushion that I just sewed, which is the zipper side and the other side that wraps around, and I've kind of quartered it off as best I can with pins. Then I've taken the top side of my cushion and I've also quartered it again as best I can, and remembering that this zipper portion goes around one side of the cushion and then stops kind of just after the curve of the cushion. And then I've gone ahead and pinned my cushion in a few better spots, leaving the curves kind of open so that I can ease those in as I sew, and that'll just give me a little bit better of a feel for sewing all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just as I have allowed for, and come back to you guys and I will sew on the bottom as well. this is a part of the couch that I didn't show you guys how I sewed, mostly because it was fairly simple, and this is unique to this couch, so it's not something that's necessarily going to help everyone, but this is how I covered the bases. It had some hole areas where you can insert the metal bars that hold the cushions in place. I used a little bit of faux leather, it's like vinyl, to secure that piece. I used muslin for the base so that I didn't have to use more of the upholstery fabric. And then I have the shaping on the sides with the Velcro that wraps around the bottom to secure that piece in place. And this is how the bases look finished. As you can see, I got a really nice fit with these, nice and tight, and it fit really well. And with this project, I did actually wash my cushion pieces after, just because I wasn't sure how the fabric was going to turn out, as it was in one giant yardage in the washing machine, so I did actually wash them after. And here you can see I've taken my cushions outside and I'm spraying them with a Scotch Guard that will help protect from any spills or dirt as I use them. And here's the finished product. I love how this couch turned out. It's such a pretty color, and it's gonna match all my little decor items. I've got my nice gray shag rug going on, and I'm really looking forward to showing you guys the decor pillows. So if you're interested to see how those go together and what they look like, stay tuned for the next video in my apartment series. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time, crafters. Bye!